Hi everybody, this week we're in St. Louis coming at you from the Alvarez Guitar Shop. We're just going to take a brief sort of walk through time. When did the brand start and how did we get here today? Works.
Just works.
Like the tonal spectrum is just maxed out.
I know. And when you went for that C, and I'm playing that sort of version, it's like a major seventh, isn't it?
Hi guys.
Hi guys.
Welcome to the show. What we're talking about is a dread with a baritone. Just sounds so full. Everything's filled out.
Of course, that's the HD. So that's
It is the HD.
Yeah, it's got the Honduran, which is
So
a
it's-
bit special.
You know, it's tonally pretty powerful anyway, but match it with a baritone.
Oh, when Sam and I got those out of the box, those Hondurans, and we played that one with the Adirondack top, the bottom end was beautiful, really rich.
Bottom end.
And then this,
And then you stick it with a
YB70.
Yeah, just absolutely massive.
Of course, it's a baritone, so it's tuned down. You know, it's like a fifth down, isn't it?
What are we doing today, mate?
Well, here we are.
We're not in our usual
We
set.
are not in our usual set at all. We've travelled all the way to St. Louis.
The home of Alvarez.
Yeah, via...
One of the homes, I guess. It's a bit of an international brand.
It is.
Yeah.
It's great to be here, just to see where I'm surrounded by even more guitars than we normally are surrounded by.
Correct. So we're in the Alvarez Guitar Shop. This is where we inspect and adjust. We do a lot of our R&D here. Everything from measurements to reporting, everything back to factories and workshops and Yairi and lots of things. And this building, which is Ferguson Avenue in St. Louis, we've been in since 1971. So the brand started in '65 and then they moved here shortly afterwards. And it's been here ever since.
Ah, I didn't realise. I thought they were here before. Because it's kind of a 60s looking building, isn't
No,
it?
there was another building down the road in town somewhere. And then they came here. And some of the guys, we were talking to Tom, he's been here 40 years.
Yeah.
Jerry, who's just retired, has been here 47 years, was it? Something like that. The guys, one guy had been here 19 years. So there's a lot of experience, a lot of...
That was great today, doing that stuff with Matt.
Yeah.
He was adjusting, wasn't he?
Yeah, we just did a film of what we do to the guitars here. But we thought we'd just give you a brief history. So we do get some questions like, you know, how did it start? How did it start in Japan? What happened after that? Why do we have two icons? Often we get asked on our logo, things like that, which is worth going over. So I thought we'd just give the brief history.
So Alvarez started in '65. Why the name Alvarez?
The simple reason, so the Kornblum family owns St. Louis Music. St. Louis Music owns Alvarez and does again now. Again, changed hands for a little bit. And Gene Kornblum, who was the son of the original owner, Bernard Kornblum, Gene joined the company in the 60s, I believe, and he really became sort of a marketing engine for the company and said, you know, to have a future, we need to build our own brands. and they had Nilling violins, which is 100 years old this year. So he said, so one of the first things was, next obvious thing was to have a guitar brand.
Mm-hmm.
And he started importing, or I'm not quite sure where he was getting them from at the time, some classical guitars, and he thought Spanish name, Spanish guitar, and literally he just chose Alvarez, and it stuck. And then that went on for a few years, and then he went to Japan. So he was looking for places to buy product. And he met Mr. Yairi, I think in the late 60s, probably 69-ish. They had been building concert classicals in Yairi since, I believe, the 30s, maybe a bit longer. So Mr. Yairi, Kazuo's father, started the company, and then Yairi, Kazuo took it over, I guess about 25 years later.
Was he only building classicals at that time?
At that time, in fact, they were building violins to begin with. And
was that quite a thing at the time in Japan, people building
huge.
Classicals, yeah?
And especially this area, like in Nagoya, was very much a musical instrument sort of production area.
Mm-hmm.
So Suzuki were there, and I don't know if they transitioned from violins to classicals, but they were certainly making concert classicals when Gene met them. And Gene said, you know, he saw the quality, he said, can we make some steel strings, you know? And they said, sure. So together they worked on the brand. At that time, it's late 60s, huge boom in music generally. And of course, folk music was already strong by then, of course. And I believe they started shipping it in either very late 70 or early 71. I think probably the first serial numbers are 71. And no logos then, it was just a written Alvarez on the headstock, and some of the guys in the groups I see have them, quite rare. And then it started, and it grew really quickly because they were lovely, you know, the quality was really nice, and for the time they were really affordable. And
did the steel strung guitars, did they become more popular?
Immediately.
Right.
In the States, yeah.
And was there a lot in the range? I mean, obviously there's a vast range now, but...
Yeah, I think they started with a Dreadnought and OM, and then just branched out from there.
Yeah.
In the 70s it grew even more, 80s it grew, and then, you know, St. Louis music certainly embraced marketing and endorsees, because endorsees were huge back in those days, and we had some massive endorsees and people who you've seen playing the guitars from McCartney and Santana, Stevie Winwood, you know, Bono and Radiohead, and the list is pretty endless. Production-wise, obviously Alvarez Yairi was made in Japan. Gene always wanted to offer a very affordable range within Alvarez. When Korea opened up, some of the production was moved to Korea, which was more of the accessible instruments. And then Yairi became the high end. Always remained in Japan, still does. And then production moved from Korea. I don't know if anyone was made in Taiwan for a while, and obviously China. But we always kept our handmade guitars made in the original Yairi workshop. That's why we have two logos. So the AY logo is Alvarez Yairi, and the AA logo is any Alvarez which is not made in Alvarez Yairi.
And what about the logo that just says Alvarez?
They're very, very early guitars. If you don't see that sort of painter's ornament before that, then that's sort of 70s.
And then everything started to change sort of late 2000s again.
So St. Louis Music was bought by a company called Loud Technologies, which is Mackie. Some changes were made, and some brands, you know, maybe didn't suit that way at the time, and they decided to close St. Louis Music in St. Louis and move most things to the West Coast, which was a pretty sad event because there was 300 employees here. So it was a massive deal. And Alvarez, you know, didn't get the attention it needed for 5 or 6 years. There was a lot of product development done. And then St. Louis Music was put back on sale, and a good friend of mine, Mark Reagan, actually, who we've just seen, he had a distribution center in St. Louis, and he was primarily focused on band and orchestra accessories. He purchased what was left of St. Louis Music. We moved it back into this original building, which was St. Louis Music, that had become empty. And then about a year and a half later, we got Alvarez back. I guess that was 2010. So Mark took over in 2008, and 2010 or 2009, end of 2009, I was asked to look after the brand for a while, and I'm still here. And I think it's been good.
So was production in Korea at that point,
no,
or had it moved to China?
So it had moved to China, and then my approach was to come out of the large, massive guitar factories and actually work in smaller places that we could really do a lot of R&D and take everything that we learned here and in Yairi and control our production and QC and have very bespoke designs within a smaller production capacity that we were completely in control of, and which was a lot of work at the front end, but it certainly paid off once things started picking up again. And you know, for me, I went and sort of learned to make guitars and all that sort of stuff. And obviously,
because you were kind of living with a luthier for a while, right, and learning the craft.
Yeah, William Compiano sort of lived in his basement for a bit and swept the floors of the workshop in the morning and in the evening. And he taught me some great stuff. Wonderful man, as well as a luthier. And obviously going to Yairi and being on all those meetings over the years and spending time with Mr. Yairi as well. And we revisited everything. You know, it was like almost like a brand new start. So we revisited bracing, shapes, wood configs, production. Then we started designing production to become super efficient so we could bring in lots of features that we didn't have, that we wanted to have, that we could still remain, you know, a really sort of affordable, high value sort of brand really. And I think that's what Alvarez always was when I looked back and learned about it, and I thought it's very important to remain that. So no matter what we do, make it as high quality and as enjoyable as possible.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people kind of wouldn't realise that apart from all of that stuff that goes on in the factories and all that care and attention and that QC, then the guitars come here and then they get checked over.
They do in the States.
Yeah.
And even a lot of our dealers then have their own checks. So it's great, you know, it's like so, you know, they're getting QC'd probably, goodness knows how many times in the factory. Then there's a final QC. Then they're shipped. And we QC them as soon as they come off the container because, you know, we've talked about wood and humidity and all that sort of stuff. We want to make sure they haven't moved and everything is meeting our QC standard over here. So, I mean, you know, you look at some dealers these days, they also have their own shops as well, many. And then our international distributors have their own, you know, workshops. So we're trying to make that guitar perfect. So when somebody takes it out of the case or they take it off the wall in a store, it's all right, it's dialed in, plays right, etc. But yeah, to come back here, especially, you know, to make TV here and see the guys and all that sort of stuff, it's been a great day. It's been really, really wonderful.
So that's great. So that's a history of care and attention and stuff, and it's great. And obviously there's so many guitars in the range now.
It grows all the time.
Where's it going from here?
We get loads of requests for new models.
I've got some requests.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Have you got enough? Yeah, few.
Never have enough guitars.
True.
But so where from here?
From here, I think you just keep going really with what we've done, because you don't always get things right, and you learn from that. And actually, there's great value in doing some design and R&D and things. Think, oh gosh, it didn't work. In fact, we just did it. I tested some stuff before I came here, new body shape. They put a lot of time in. I just thought, oh God, couldn't get a bit more out of that. You know, it just wasn't working. So we go back to the drawing board, and I think that's the culture. Is just keep making better guitars from what we've learned in the past. So we're now doing some new bracing tweaks in Yairi. Got about six samples underway. What, to sort of build it lighter or? A little bit. It's using different weight braces for different things. Where we talk about, you know, rigidity and vibration. So trying to keep the rigidity where we really needed it, but freeing up some of the top to just make a little bit more charisma here and there, certain body shapes. Because often you design a bracing pattern that works for maybe a dreadnought, but on a parlor, it doesn't work. So revisiting that. Then we've got a new body shape. It's an auditorium shape that we're working on, which is a lovely shape, but just I didn't get it right. I need to revisit it, and tonally, and so that'll be coming up. And then for our Masterworks, a whole new level of finish, and actually a whole new level of guitar for Masterworks, to take that Masterworks up another level really. So it'll be sitting right in between the Masterworks now and the Yairi. Yeah, and it's working on, you know, we've put hundreds of hours designing finish and sanding processes, but that's another thing. You get to a stage where, you know, you push the envelope, but then that becomes standard and second nature. So you push it again, and it's difficult to begin with, and then that becomes standard in second language. So you just keep pushing as you keep learning, and trying to keep the efficiencies to make it all happen. Really. Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, new Masterworks is good.
When's that happening?
Hopefully next September. Ebony boards, ebony bridge. Keep it consistent.
Bridge?
Trying some new bridges as well. How did you know that?
I just guessed. Seemed like an obvious, seemed like a natural progression maybe.
I think that's the best thing. If you're involved in anything, whether it's not musical instruments, but brands or design, keep moving forward. Or music, you just keep moving forward, what you learned, you use, and you get better. Or mixing. So we just keep going.
Nice.
All right, mate.
Well, it's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been an absolute joy. We've had a...
Good to see you in America.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.
Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and consider subscribing to our channel. If you want to watch more videos like this one, click the video on the screen now.